Son d'un papel! Oh, my wiener.
What up, guys? Aka-san here, and it's time for another edition of Ask Aka-san. And normally, you guys, I answer questions that you guys ask me, and I'll get to that. I'll get to that later. But today, I have a special guest here, and today in particular, I thought it'd be kind of cool just to change things up a bit. My homie here just wants to kind of talk about his life in Japan, and we're going to get into it. He's leaving soon. He's leaving Japan soon. So I thought this would be the best opportunity to kind of just give you a glimpse into the life of someone else other than myself. So, ladies and gentlemen, make way here.
What's up, Tong? San Diego, California.
San Diego, okay.
West Side.
There you go. West Side, okay. So, it's not always like that. Of course, you guys are sometimes familiar with Tino, and you know, a lot of the people I hang around happen to be from the West Side, or especially Los Angeles, California, Cali. But this, I don't know why. It just happened to be that way. Maybe because we're just all very nice, easygoing type of
We
people.
just get that Cali vibe, you know, just like kind of just we gravitate towards each other.
Absolutely. So, it came to my attention a little while ago that he's leaving Japan after 6 years now, and I thought it'd be a really good opportunity for you to go ahead and just kind of let people know your story, because you don't really get that opportunity or that venue that often to really let people know kind of just what you're thinking, what you're going through, why you decided to leave, things like that. So I guess best thing to do would just be start from the beginning. When did you come to Japan?
I came to Japan 6 years ago when I studied abroad here, and you know, I liked it so much I came back here.
And what was the main reason? What was like people have asked me before with the Ask Aka-san questions, like what was the spark? What was the spark that just motivated you to come to Japan?
Oh, ooh, I guess it's kind of a dark past. Can I be honest here?
Yeah, absolutely. That's all we are here on this channel is honest, right?
Alright, okay, well, I guess, you know, in high school I wasn't like the best student, whatever, and, you know, and I went to community college, and I did a lot of, you know, I guess I did a lot of drugs.
Okay, nothing wrong.
I partied a lot, you know, I was just a young guy with no goal in mind, and it was kind of depressing going to college, and you don't have a set goal, you don't know what kind of major to pick, you know, and, you know, I kind of just chose sociology on a whim, but then, like, again, I didn't know what to do in my future, because the reason I'm going to college is for a future, right?
Figure out what you want to do, right?
And, you know, at the time, I still didn't know, but I had to take a second language course to transfer to SDSU, and, so I chose Japanese, because Spanish, it's cool, but, you know,
everybody's
live in California.
Yeah, everybody's speaking Spanish.
So I chose it because I do like anime or whatever, but I'm not like, I love anime, but I'm not like the people who live in anime, the war or whatever, but
right.
I liked it, and then my first class, I failed due to drugs and partying, but the second class, my teacher introduced me that working in Japan is a possibility. I'm like, whoa, that sounds really fucking cool. And after that, it kind of gave me my goal, because I never really felt smart. I didn't feel like I could accomplish anything, and to be able to pass the Japanese course, to learn a second language, a third language actually, and for me to make it to Japan, that was my goal. And for me to achieve that goal was a very important aspect of at least achievement in life. And to come back here to work, you know, is a big achievement.
So you came out here as a Ryogakse in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
International student. And that was over at Sinan University?
Yeah.
Okay, so Fukuoka area. And why did you decide to come back to Fukuoka afterwards?
You know, I had a lot of good experience here. Fukuoka itself kind of reminds me of a Japanese San Diego, but like, you know, the beach is so close.
I can see that.
People chill, you know.
Yeah.
They're not uptight. Well, some people are uptight, right?
Everybody's uptight around the world.
Yeah.
Some people.
Yeah. And I like this place. I have a lot of attachments as far as memory-wise. I have a lot of good times here with my study abroad crew and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And so I always want to be the first one of the crew to make it back here and work here.
So how long between the time that you went back home of being a transfer student or an international student to the point where you decided to kind of live out here from the forever, so to speak?
I went back in 3 years. It took me 3 years to graduate because I prolonged my graduation to come here actually to stay for a year. So after I graduated, it took me about a year to find a job here.
Okay.
And because I have a lot of issues with companies and racism, and we can get into that later. But it took me about 3 years, and my first job, the only company I was able to get that was going to give me a visa was a company in Mito, Ibaraki.
Okay.
And that was like the boonies.
So before we get into the work world, your working world, were there like just personally any big differences between the time when you were living out here as an international student? More or less, I'm more concerned about more privately, like just the feeling, your private life, things like that, compared to being out here as a working man. Were there a lot of big differences? Did it feel like a completely different Japan to you?
This time around, in comparison to my study abroad?
Yes.
Well, yeah, like, I guess the beauty of my study abroad trip was that I stayed in an international dorm, so it's kind of weird, like, when you don't want to take into that part of Japan culture and life and you just have too much of it, you just want to just check out and go back to your own, I guess, your own world that you're familiar with. I just go back into my dorm and kind of run in there, and everyone speaks English, although they're from different parts of the world, there's that kind of acceptance of culture. And sometimes you don't get that in a Japanese culture. Sometimes,
exactly, yeah.
And I think a lot of foreigners feel the same way, that they're like, okay, just get timeout.
Absolutely. No, that's a very good point. The timeout aspect, when you come out here like under an ALT contract or just any sort of English teaching contract, that timeout feeling isn't it's more like almost like a zone out, so to speak. Like when you just come back home, you don't have anybody to talk to unless you go on Facebook, on Skype, or whatever. But for the most part, you have no one you can personally relate to. I know when I come home to an empty room and then it's on straight to YouTube or whatever, and that's my way of not going crazy. But what was it like for you, your private life, when you just would go home instead of having that like English environment of time out where you could relax or like relate with people in an English language? What was it for you, basically?
It was rough because like my first job was in the boonies, and I would stay in a Leo Palace, and if you're familiar with Leo Palace, the walls are paper thin, and so like literally I hear people like partying upstairs. I don't mind hearing partying, whatever. It's the next day. Like these kids, they just threw up every freaking morning. They drink, and then like I moved down here to Fukuoka, and my apartment still paper thin walls, and my neighbor and I were just fighting all the time. So like I couldn't check out. I didn't have that support, that I guess family support. Well, like when I studied abroad, we went through the same experience together. We went through the same hardship together. We can talk about it. We can relate to it. We can vent. That was just gone. That safety net was gone. I was in Japan working, and I would come back home, and I try to be quiet, but like people within walls, you really can't be quiet. You can hear the person sneeze, just right above you.
Absolutely.
So it was rough at first, but now I got my own apartment, a bigger place and thicker walls, and I don't really hear anybody, and I have that. I've learned to find that balance of where, I can check out and I can check in when I want to.
That's good. And this is probably one of the biggest aspects as to why I wanted to. Yeah, you can go for it here. Go for it. Yeah, for sure. Right. Cheers, man. Yeah. All right. We're back with you now. So this is one of the main things I thought that was very important to hear your voice today. Is a lot of people at home, they're just kind of sitting at home and they're interested in coming to Japan. And a lot of my subscribers, viewers, whatever you want to call it, they're Asian. And this is one of the things that doesn't get addressed directly because a lot of racism isn't addressed directly, especially in Japan. And something that a lot of people don't realize is that, you know, even though and maybe in the States or a lot of other places around the world, you know, we tend to, I'm being very stereotypical here, but we tend to just see like Asians as just all one sort of race, so to speak.
Color,
yeah, one color. It's like, okay, he's Asian, or dare I say, some people have said like, oh, he's Oriental, which is terrible to say. But I've dated women like that are just like, they just see Chinese, Japanese, Korean as all one sort of race. But in Japan, or in every part of Asia, there are going to be differences in the way you're treated. And your background is what?
Thai American.
Okay, Thai American. But what a lot of people don't realize is even if Tong is the best teacher, he's always going to be sort of segregated and judged because and secondly, just because of the fact that he's Asian, and actually that sometimes can be a bit of a crutch for you to try to be an English teacher. So what kind of challenges did you face when just looking for a job in general and still being an English teacher?
Definitely. So I guess, you know, it's funny because, you know, in America we always have that, I guess that, at least in Japan, they always think that we have so much racism. And we do, you know, and with the recent controversies right now, Ferguson and all that stuff. I've experienced more racism here in this country than I did in America. Not that I haven't experienced racism in America,
right?
But in comparison, like, my ethnicity has never been put in my face so hardcore than now.
Right.
And when I was looking, like, for example, you know, I'll put it out. When I applied for Interact the same year I graduated, and during the interview, the guy asked me, like, "Oh, so your last name? Are you American?" I was like, "Yes, I am." I was like, "Where were you born?" I'm like, "Chicago, Illinois." Like, "Oh, what's your first language? English?" And I was like, "Yes, I was born in America. I grew up in America. I went to school in America." And like, "Oh, I see." And after that, you can see I just felt his tone and his attitude just kind of. And even I went to so many interviews, and you know, I guess the biggest picture that I got painted was when I first got the job with the only company that would give me a visa abroad, which is Hart's English School. And my recruiter, a really nice guy, you know, I asked him, like, "Hey, you know, I was assigned to teach at only Hitachi factories." I was like, "Hey, I want to teach at school," you know. He's like, "I can't do that." I was like, "Why?" And he explained to me the system of a Kaiwa job.
English club, yeah.
You know, it's a company that is kind of like the middleman between the schools and other countries, and school boards are pretty much the boss. You know, they tell Eikawas what they want. They can say, you know, "I want a tall person. I want a woman, more men."
That's very true.
But particularly, he told me that the school in Mito, and I'm pretty sure it might be like this in other places in Japan, that they particularly want white people. More so, some people want more white women or white men. Some even require them to be Christian. And because I didn't fit that description, they didn't want to allow me to work at the school.
Right.
And because my Japanese skill was pretty high, I was able to get hired with the company to be a part-time translator. And through my sociology background, I was able to be a sociology teacher to Hitachi factory employees.
Now, why do you think that is? Why do they not want to have Asian people working? Or from what you're telling me, it even sounds like even beyond that, a black person or someone with long hair, so to speak. Why do you think that is?
It's that image, you know. English is painted as white. You know, if you ask somebody, you know, when you think of America, what's the first thing you think about? You think of white male, you know. And what I say with black people, or maybe Hispanic, they don't fit that description. Maybe they might be afraid of the black people, you know, because their contact with different ethnicities is not so much as common compared to like to Americans.
Absolutely.
And the topic of like different culture, you know, we're fighting racism and stuff like that. We fight about it, you know, we argue about it, but we address it and we overcome it through that way. But over here, they don't really address it. You know, black equals hip hop, and white equals like, you know, businessman, you know, rich people.
It's true.
Whatever.
It's very true.
And
yeah, it's funny. Just the other day, I was riding my bike, and I've been meaning to do a feature on this. I was riding my bike to work or whatever, and they have one of those big overhead screens over in Tenjin, and it was a DS commercial about how to like learn English. It was a Japanese mom and a Japanese boy, and the boy was playing English, like this English game on his 3DS, and then they cut away from the Japanese kid, and they cut to the mom saying something, and then apparently the kid learned so much English so well that the kid transformed into a little white boy. And
oh man!
Yeah, and the white and like yeah, mom, I really learned like that. And you know, I looked at it from what kind of perspective they were trying to do. I'm gonna find that commercial for sure, and I need to talk about that later. But it kind of annoyed me a bit because I was just like, damn, like this is actually going into that stereotype that you shouldn't be going into. Like, you know, not just white kids speak English, the America and Europe. But like, 'cause sometimes I used to blame the fact that I'm like, okay, well, they think, you know, Europe and America, it's all white. But no, I mean, there's black people in Europe as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I was thinking about the dude, James Bond guy. You know, he's up to be James Bond.
The new guy, yeah.
Yeah, the black dude.
Yeah.
What is his name? Elba, Iris Elba, whatever.
There's been a controversy about that, like,
yeah,
be black.
Pacific Rim. Yes, reset the clock to racism times.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it kind of trips me out about that kind of stuff. It's like, they don't want to expand, or they don't really care to expand the horizon, because sometimes I do think that they keep it sort of, you know, Japanese tend to like to organize things and keep things categorized for the simplicity of things. So if you start to open up America as into the fact that they have so many different races, it becomes a little too confusing, so to speak, and they're just like, well, no, we don't want to make it that confusing, let's just keep it simple. America equals white person or whatever, business suit, like you said, you know. So, but you're absolutely right. There's been many times that I've actually been turned down from different jobs myself. And there was one time, I'll never forget this one place. British-based company, and very kind of not uptight, but very prestigious, so to speak. But they were doing a side sort of thing of Eikai was English schools, and everybody loved me. Recruiter loved me. I passed the test. I got through. I was able to do the test, the little sample courses or whatever, and I got the job, and I was going to start the next week. But in the elevator, I accidentally bumped into the owner, Japanese man, of the company, and he saw me on my way out, and he complained about my hair being too long. At that time, my hair was probably right around here. Yeah, it was actually shorter than it is now, really up. And so I got a call like an hour or so after I left, and I was on the train, and they were asking me to cut my hair, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that because I got my own thing going on the side. So I ended up losing that job, but at the same time, I'm like, that's not the kind of job I would be wanting to work with. So
that's good. You didn't compromise your integrity on that.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is very interesting to see that, you know, I consider myself lucky. It's funny because you mentioned about the elementary schools. You know, I'm quite lucky, or blessed, or whatever the case may be, to be teaching in elementary schools where, you know, you mentioned the fact that they kind of request that, and they were actually requesting a young woman. That's what they wanted.
My company is actually doing now. They're switching to white women only.
Yeah.
We hired three new white girls.
And it's funny that so they wanted a young white woman to be replace this older white guy that was like fucking up the lessons left and right or whatever. And my boss couldn't get that, but they got me. So when I arrived, you know, at first they were hesitant, but then they got to know me and they're like, damn, this dude really knows his, you know, he really knows his shit. And from that point on, they've been completely impressed. So sometimes I think it just takes a little bit of a risk because, you know, your race isn't definitive of the skill that you are as a teacher.
Well, maybe at your school, the teacher, or at least the principal, maybe is much more connected with you. My principal doesn't even go to my place. He only goes there to complain about sales. And he doesn't even know how good I am. The teachers said, they know how good I am, but at the same time, you know, the sales are going down because the school is not adjusting well to the size of the children, and so we haven't been giving the kids as much as the school promised, and so that's why sales is going down. And so like, oh, you know, maybe we need more white people because we had a
the white man will save us.
Exactly. The face, the image will save us, and because we had a Hawaiian Japanese, two Hawaiian Japanese, a Filipino girl, El Salvadorian man, and me, you know, not white at all. And so we hired the first white guy, my friend Clark, you know, from Scotland. And after that, you know, it just became white after that. They want only white, and which is one of the reasons why I'm leaving, because I couldn't work for a company, for a man that is so racist and sexist at the same time. Because, you know, especially with children, like you know, the whole company is all female. But I think with raising children, men are equally as important for, you know, child development as females. You know, we offer different things. And they're trying to just buzz out, and, you know, at the same time, they're doing so many other things that they are robbing the children of, and they're robbing the parents because they're paying a lot of money. And the kids are not getting what they deserve. You know, and racism here, yeah, you know, it does play a role, and I kind of had enough, I guess.
I get it.
You know?
So,
it's kind of difficult.
Aside from this particular situation, there definitely have been some good times in teaching. I know the actual teaching part you've quite enjoyed. What were some of your best memories of just being a teacher?
You know, I'll tell you one bad thing first, and I'll tell you one good thing.
Okay.
My friend works for Interact right now, and he tells me that the kids, they just hate English or whatever. They focus so much on like his whiteness and just don't like him. But the one thing that in fact, it's my favorite thing about working with kids, particularly with preschool kids, because it's before they learn the difference of ethnicity, the difference of culture. They don't think about anything. All I think about is like, I'm a human being and they're a human being. And it's like, I'm Tong Svang and they're just my babies. And so, I never have to deal with that discrimination, and it feels refreshing to not deal with that to not deal with that kind of, you know, differences of culture being put in my face. You know, although teachers do it, but I'm with the kids, it's just me with them only. I'm talking about it, I can talk about whatever I want. I can be sarcastic with them, and they actually get my sarcasm. Which, you know, if you live in Japan, you come to realize that sarcasm is not really around. I can tell people Angelina Jolie is my wife, and they'll be like, "Are you serious?" You know, I actually did that for a class one time for my sociology class for Hitachi. I was trying to teach them some sarcasm, and they got it eventually. But you know, with my kids, I could tell them, like, you know, I'm gonna eat your face, and they'll just laugh at me. You know, I'm totally goofy with them, and I like it that I'm touching the lives. You know, I'm the foundation for the future, and I like giving that solid foundation that I hope that they won't forget about me and what I gave to them and what I've done for them, you know, and how much I love them.
Absolutely.
And I really do love them, you know, as my own kids, like my own family, you know.
So if you could say in a nutshell, why are you going back now? What was, I know that you've had some bad points about your job, but you could change your job. You could bounce around, but why is it mainly that you decided that after 6 years, this is pretty much it's time to go back home?
You know, I don't really feel that Japan's reality as a summer people, because, like, you know, you're here, you're on an island, everything's safe, you know, nobody fights, and violence is near low, you know, but I think it's time to grow up. You know, the income for a teacher is, you know, it's decent. You can make a living, but, you know, I talked to a few people, and they're like 40-something year old, whatever, 50-something, and they've been here for a while.
Yes.
And they're making the same amount of money as me, and that just
Yeah.
I think that's kind of not embarrassing, but that's not really a goal what I want to strive to. I don't want to make.
Right.
I want to make something for my future, and being a teacher here doesn't offer you a future because you can be the greatest teacher alive, but if you don't make if you don't make the sales, they don't care how good you are.
Generally
and
speaking,
they don't really.
yeah.
In Japanese schools, they don't really quite care about the ability to improve your English. All they care about is how to pass that no.
Teflo or something like that. The I know what you're talking about, but the
TEFL, yeah.
English proficiency test.
All they really care about that,
Yeah.
and one of my job was to explain to the Hitachi employees why they have such high TEFL scores, but they can't speak it. They can't understand another culture because one of the things is that Japanese people, I guess, in a country schooling for English, is that they forget about culture behind the language.
Right.
And culture is almost as important. In fact, it's more important, I think, as learning a language because when we talk, when we communicate, the implications, the sarcasm, it all has culture behind it.
Right.
So you can understand what the word means, but if you don't understand the meaning behind that word, then you're lost.
Absolutely.
And if I can't make a difference further with my kids and with the company that's not offering me a higher salary, my future is kind of like in a dead end over here. Absolutely. And I'll have a lot of friends here who've done this for a long time, and they've had to work a lot of teaching jobs, on the side. And I kind of want to do that. I love sociology. I would love to teach Japanese people sociology, but in my experience, they
don't really want to listen.
They don't want to accept
yeah.
being proven wrong.
I see.
And my school was great when the old leader was there, the guy who hired me. But now it's kind of gone downhill, and there is no future for that company I'm at right now. Like the kids are slowly declining every month.
Right.
It might go out of business within the next, 5 years.
On the edge of going back now, as you go back when in March.
Yeah.
So next month basically.
Yeah.
First, literally, you have about 30 plus days until you go back home. What's on your bucket list right now of things to do?
Hang out with my friends, I guess. Because we all work so much in Japan that we don't really spend too much time with each other. That's why I'm here now, dude.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Just be my friends, be my girlfriend, and just enjoy Japan for what it is. I don't want to deal with any of the difficulties I have dealt with before, and I want to enjoy the light of this country, not the darkness. That every country has.
Right. And you're gonna have to say goodbye to a girlfriend now as well.
Yeah, I do. And I'll be sad about that, but all good things must come to an end eventually. And my future is gonna be in America, and I want to go back to cooking. And my second love is food.
What do you take back with you when you start your life out? Have you made plans in terms of what you want to do in San Diego?
I'm actually going.
Oh, you're gonna go to Thailand first.
I'm gonna go to Thailand first.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to London.
Okay. Oh, really?
To go visit some friends. If I can save enough money. The yen is so weak right now, so I might just save that trip for another time. But definitely Thailand first.
Okay.
And go back to America. Go back to culinary school. Go back to school. Going to culinary school. And just help out my mom, help out my family. And I think Japan is a good foundation because it is a struggle to live and work here. Differences are put in your face all day, every day. But to adjust to it, to strive for, to just go through it, work through the BS. You're gonna deal with culture shock left and right. But I guess my biggest part is that from what I studied abroad, I try taking everything and I compromise my personality, my integrity, because I feel like if you don't do it, people are gonna call you ignorant.
Right.
But I learned to find that balance of accepting a certain degree of a culture,
becoming a different character for the culture.
Yeah, and not compromising myself and my integrity.
Right.
And at the same time, I'm accepting about Japanese culture, but it's something I won't accept being an Asian American. And that's what I'm taking back with me, and that's what I'm proud of. Because the last time I went back, I wasn't proud of myself. I was happy about my experience, but I wasn't proud of my actions. But going back, I am proud of myself now. I am proud that I get to do what I want to do. I did what I did, and I am who I am no matter what when I came back. While I'm here, and I adjusted to it perfectly. Not perfectly, but well enough to be satisfied with my experience here. And I think it's a good place for starters. So after college, that's why I came here to do something after my college years to figure out what I want to do in life. I'm gonna be 30 now. I think my 20s is a foundation for myself, my personality, who I'm gonna be. And my 30s, I think that's the foundation for my career.
I think so.
And
do you feel that you've become a bit more wiser through all the experiences here in Japan?
I think growing up in general, I used to have a bad mouth. I used to do a lot. I guess I still do dumb shit. But it did help me understand a lot about myself. You do have a lot of thinking time, and the best way to analyze yourself is to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation. Just like Japan, and I've been in an uncomfortable situation where I question myself. Did I do something wrong? And not only with Japanese people, but other foreigners, because you meet foreigners from way different parts of the world.
Absolutely.
From New Zealand, Australia. I'm working out with a big African dude right now. Yeah. You ever seen him at the gym?
No, I think I have actually.
Yeah,
tall dude looked like he came off the 300 set, like I am a god.
Yeah, he used to be a model actually.
Really?
Yeah. So you meet all these kind of different people, and I guess in San Diego you meet a lot of different ethnicities, but not a lot of foreigners.
True. This is true.
I guess except in those foreigner clubs in universities, but you don't meet too many foreigners. But I guess all the foreigners meet here are all foreigners, so like. You can tell who they are and stuff like that. So it takes somewhat adjusting to, and I really did learn a lot from everyone, and helped me learn a lot about myself.
I got it. Any last things you wanted to say? Any suggestions or advice for people that are thinking about traveling out here?
I guess if you're a white guy, you got a whole buffet of girls here. They love the white meat. Yeah, black people too. Yeah. There's some girls I met some girls that they like hip hop, and they're like, hey, do you know they have black friends? I'm like, yeah, I do. Like, oh, okay. But for my serious, the serious people who want to come here and work and stuff like that, know what you get into. These companies will put your race, your ethnicity on the table, and it will be a factor. Your merits won't count as much first, it will count later on, but if you're working here, if you're gonna come here and know what to expect, it ain't gonna be beautiful at first, it ain't gonna be about anime and schoolgirls and samurais and ninjas and stuff like that, but, if you want to marry a Japanese woman, okay, all good, I've met a lot of people who, are married to Japanese women, and, they're all good with that. For the women out there trying to come out here, it might be a little difficult. I heard a lot of bad things. I'm not gonna get into that. I can't get into that, but it is a struggle here. Know what you're getting into. Read a lot of blogs. Do your research, and if you come out here, good luck to you.
All right, 6 years in the making here, all done. Wraps up next month. I appreciate your time today. Thank you, man.
Thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. Well, that's it for this week. Definitely special thanks to our guest here, Tong, right? And I guess that's it. I will check back with you guys next week. Feel free to ask me some questions below. Like, share, subscribe. You know the deal, right? Specifically, if you send me a question with your as a video, that has a better chance of me answering it in 2 weeks or so. So please, that would be the best. I'm trying to start this feature a little bit more as like video questions, and I can edit it, whatever. Just record the video, put it on YouTube. You can email it to me, whatever, and then in 2 weeks I'll answer. There's one other question I have to get to, but I might have to get to it maybe just later this week because I bumped it for this segment. But we'll see what's up. All right, guys. Until next time, I will check with you later. Peace. All right, out.